Hello, everybody. We are live. I am here with Dionne. I am going to give her an opportunity in a moment. Oh, are you getting an echo?
No. Are we
Okay, I
live?
see what's happening. Yes, we are live. I realized I've never had that happen before. When I clicked on the Instagram, it started playing it, and so I just didn't want there to be an echo. I've never had that happen, so I didn't know if you were getting it or.
No, I'm not getting it.
Good stuff. So anyway, thank you to everybody who's joining us, whether you are here live, whether you are watching this recorded. I really appreciate you inviting us into your day or evening, whenever it is that you're taking this information in. I am excited because, as always, I have an incredible guest who will share parts of whatever she chooses to share about her life, business, etc. And then we'll just chat. I did forget, sometimes I forget yesterday, I don't want to forget today, to just kind of remind everybody who's watched before, and then for anybody who's watching for the first time, that if you are live, sometimes the comments don't feed over, or they do feed over, but I'm very focused on the conversation and I miss them. If you are one of the people that comments and that happens, I do go back into the social media platforms afterwards to take a look and make sure that I see the comments and can respond as applicable. So please don't feel like we're ignoring you. It's hard sometimes to multitask. And I really appreciate everybody who wants to engage in the conversation and just be here present with us. So why don't you go ahead and, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell everybody about who you are and what you do.
So I'm Dionne Malush. I live in Pittsburgh. I've been here my whole life. I actually thought about leaving once and never did. But I love traveling everywhere, so I get to see all these cool places and still come back to the black and gold country where I love so much. So I own a real estate company. We've been in business for 6.5 years. We have almost 200 agents, and we're ready to push through to the next level of what we're going to do here in Pittsburgh. We disrupted the model that had been the same for over 100 years. And we came in and we made things different. We actually forced the other companies to do things differently. So it's been really cool to be a part of that. It's been hard. I've had a lot of hard days, but it's been rewarding, and I love helping people and changing lives. So that's kind of what I'm about.
Yeah, excellent. I'm nodding because obviously I know some of this stuff, but I'm also kind of leaning into the energy, because we were highly energetic when we hopped on the call, ready to roll, and I think we're carrying that over into the conversation. So I'm kind of curious to see where things unfold.
Yeah.
And one of the things obviously that we've connected about, in addition to entrepreneurship and our passion for helping people, is that grind, right? Like we even were saying right beforehand, like I got things to do. And I know that we're both making an effort to try to make sure that we're efficient and effective, but also make sure that we're balancing that with taking time to pause and be present and be mindful of not burning out, or not taking time to, or not missing the opportunity to take time to appreciate and be grateful for where we are and the things that are going on. And so I think that's something that a lot of people probably can relate to.
Sure.
Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, right? Because I know that that's something that we really like to be motivated, but we also want to make sure that we're taking moments to pause.
Yeah. So I used to never take pause moments. I would force myself to continue working. And then all of a sudden I was sick because I pushed myself so hard. So I've learned a lot in being an entrepreneur, and I've pretty much been it my whole adult life. I've been an entrepreneur. So I graduated from high school. I went to art school for 2 years. I tried to get a couple little jobs and realized I wasn't meant to work for anyone. And so I started my own graphic design business. It was so cool. It was really fun, and I loved it. So about 4 years in, I didn't have health insurance, and I realized, maybe I need to get a job, because although I love this, I also need to be insured. I need to do that. Let me try that. So I went to work at a local hospital in their graphic design department, and I loved it. But then I didn't anymore. And then I thought, I probably don't like having someone tell me what to do. Although I love the guy that was my boss at the hospital. He's actually works as an agent at my company now, and we're fabulous friends. But I just would work all day there, go home, work all night. And I worked and worked. And people would say to me, I never see anybody work as hard as you. Like, you never stop working. Well, I loved to do it so much that I didn't consider it work, although I was missing out on life, right?
Right.
So the push was hard, and I kept pushing and pushing. And then one day I almost pushed Jason, my husband, right out the door. And at that point, I had to take a step back and realize, what do I want more? Do I want to be happy and successful like we learned this weekend at the seminar that we were at? Can you be happy and successful? Well, I'm here to tell you, absolutely can. It is stressful. Life is stressful. It wouldn't be fun if it wasn't stressful. What the heck would we do if we didn't have stress? We'd just be a bunch of zombies walking around. The creative side of being stressful is incredible. So I took a minute and I started taking a break. And to be honest with you, I literally changed my entire company by taking a break. Because I was refreshing myself every week and trying to do things and enjoy the things that I wasn't enjoying, because all I was doing was working. So I get it. We like to grind. I love working. And if it was up to me, I could literally work 24 hours in a day. If I didn't have to sleep or eat, I have enough stuff to do that I could do it. But it just doesn't make sense. So you have to enjoy your life, because we only get one chance, and we know this over and over again. And as you get in your mid-50s, I'll be 56 in 2 weeks. As you hit that point, you realize you're on the other side of life. So you want to take advantage and enjoy some of what's left. And I hope it's a long life, but you never know. And I don't live every day worrying about it, because I used to do that for like 30 years, worry about that. So anyways, that's my long answer to your question.
No, it wasn't. It was completely appropriate. I mean, all of those details are relevant. I think one of the things that you said that I think is important to kind of touch on, at least from my perspective, is that the concept of, like you said, I was working really hard, but I loved what I was doing. Because I think sometimes people think about needing to pause or needing to rest only in terms of so you don't burn out, which obviously is a key concern as well. We want to not burn out. But it's also about not, in the moment, we sometimes think this is what's really important to me and this is why I'm really happy. And so I'm going to enjoy it. But then you do tend to get to a point where you look back and you go like, oh, I missed these other things. Not that you didn't enjoy the hard work you were doing, but that perhaps if you had taken some time to kind of pause and do those other things, you would have those to be more a part of the collage of your life, and that it wouldn't be so linear. So sometimes those pause points don't come in the form of exhaustion or, some type of critical thing. It comes in the form of just recognizing, like, I want to experience some other things, because that's going to help me to increase my joy in life. And it's also going to increase my ability to have all of these myriad of experiences and be able to share with different people and to be able to appreciate and reflect on that. So I like that you noted that, right? Because I think a lot of times it's more on the, I don't want to burn out. That said, we also don't want to burn out. And you and I have run that risk, part of it, because I think sometimes when you have a servant heart, you feel like you should just keep going and going, even when there's fatigue set in. And so we do have to be mindful of that. But no, I appreciate that. And I think the point you said about your relationship with your husband, right? The relationships we have with people are integral to our mental, physical, spiritual, everything well-being. And we don't want to forget to build those.
I do worry about this, though. Will I ever get to the success level that I want by taking a break? Like, can I get there by taking a break? Now, I feel like I can be more productive when I, take a rest or go do something, go on a boat or do something fun that I love. But in those moments, I think, could I be working more? And so, you struggle. It's definitely an internal struggle, because the more I work, I feel like the more successful I can be. But I've seen it otherwise. And I sit there and I look at very successful people, and how do they do everything in the same amount of time that we do? It's because they have good people working for them, right? And I think that in my last 2 years has made a tremendous difference, because we hired a COO to help, and I backed off a little bit of the minutia of the everyday worrying about every single thing. Now, there's still things that are going to come up in my day, like, why is this not completed, or what's going on? And I can feel myself just getting drugged right back in. Yeah. But if I can keep myself pulled back, then I know that I can keep my mindset on track. I can do the things that I need to do. Like, I love learning. I swear to you, if I could get paid to just go to events every day, I would be super successful and so full of so many great positive, inspiring messages, then my life would be amazing. But I don't think there's a job called go to events every day.
Well, I guess if you're an event planner, right?
I mean, I don't know, that's what I want to do. But I like to be like, we had this diner guy in Pittsburgh called the Phantom Diner, and he would go to all the little restaurants and tell all the stories of the restaurant. If I could go to all the events and critique them, and that'd be an actual job, I love that. That would be so fun.
I mean, now my gears are turning, right? Because I'm thinking about that, because there is a place for that. If you think about people that are considering, like, what event should I or shouldn't I go to, like some type of journalism. I don't know. Yeah, we'd have to really talk through how the business model for how that would work. But I feel like you think about like Angie's List, right?
Yeah.
People like lists of things that have already been reviewed or have feedback on them. So I think there's a piece to that. Yeah. The success piece, absolutely. For so many reasons. And as you noted, age is definitely a part of that. But I think like even when I was younger, like I think about in my 20s, there was that like, hard work equals success. There's other parts to it, right? There's leaning into love and kindness, and there's connecting with people, and all of those kind of feed it. But it does have to do with scalability. How much can you, what pace can you sustain? We have to find the sustenance for the motivation, right? What's going to keep the process going forward in order for us to have that success. But there are certainly times where it's like, I'm really tired. I should go to sleep. I should get a good night's sleep, or I can rest tomorrow or the next day, because right now, if I do this, it's going to make things more effective and efficient. And I don't know that ever becomes a clear decision, right? I think like these really, really other people that have hit these other levels of whether it's notoriety or financial success, right? Because those are really the end of the two. Either you're really well known, which oftentimes equals financial success. But those specific definitions of success, even people in them, I'm certain have opportunities to make decisions and are like, okay, which do I do? I
don't think it ever quiets. I don't think that voice quiets inside of us. I think that's just who we are. And, sometimes I look at people and I expect them to be the same way. Right. And then I sit back and think they can't. Like, I am who I am, and I am so passionate, and I love work so much that it's not normal. Like, I am not normal. And I know that. I am a different kind of breed, but it's okay because everyone's different. And that's the coolest thing. Like, I sometimes sit in a room and I'll watch people walk by, and I'll look and think we're all made of the same parts, right? We all have a nose, we all have eyes, and it's incredible. Like that event we were at, I was doing it there. Hundreds of people, every single person, no one looks even remotely close to each other. It's incredible. So
it is.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, there's so much about life that I love. And I always said, like, I love living so much, and I have a lot to do. And, but then, realizing when you start to get older that we don't have a choice. We're not all going to be here forever, so we got to make the best of it. So if that means I have to step back a little bit to enjoy the time with my husband, that's what I need to do, because it's important to him and it's important to me. And I don't want a life without him. I don't want to do this alone. Right. And I can see people in my life that are, my age that are alone, and it sucks. I wouldn't want to be alone. And so in order to do that, I have to have some kind of balance. I don't know if balance is the right word, because I don't think I'm a balanced person, but I do know that I enjoy my time with him, and I really am stepping back from staring at the phone the whole time. And we learned over this weekend about, instead of scrolling, do something productive, right? And I've been doing that. Like, I don't watch television. It's so weird. I used to tape this same show. I used to tape General Hospital every single day for like 40 years. And I just stopped watching it. And it's silly. What am I watching General Hospital for 40 years? That's a lot of hours, right? That he times that all up and see what all that time I wasted, where I could be doing something like reading a book, or, listening to Audible, or listening to a YouTube video, or watching you. I could be watching you for those hours. So, anyways, that's it.
Well, yeah. And it's tough too, because I think, I don't know if General Hospital is maybe the right example. I never really got into soap opera. I think at one point I remember maybe like my early 20s, there was a show that I watched for like a little while, but I think it just never really caught on for me. And I don't have a problem with people that do enjoy them, but I think we can get some learning. So from the learning perspective, there is some learning that can happen even from those soap operas. We watch the dialogues, it triggers things for us. I am 100% confident from conversations that we have that you're watching that episode and something happens and you're thinking about, if I encountered that, what would I do? How could I help that person? What could, so there is some thought process that gets involved with it. So I think, like, if you've got a learning mindset, the grocery store becomes an event because you're surrounded by people, right? When you think, I mean, obviously the conference was very, very enriching. We had incredible speakers on stage. You're focused, you're concentrated, you're there to learn, and that's what you're doing. But we could kind of carry that into some other areas of our life when we're like in the grocery store and you're observing people and you're having conversations. And there'll be times I'll have like a 5-minute conversation with somebody in the line, like, just to check out. We'll probably, or maybe might, but probably will never see the person again. But like, we'll take something away from that conversation that could be meaningful to me. So like, I do try to do that because I will get into that rut too, where I'm just like, oh, I just wasted that time. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm wasting time beating myself up for wasting time.
Yeah.
It may or may not have actually been wasted to begin with. It's like that spiral that we go on. But yes, we do definitely sometimes do things that they're not learning and they're not enriching us, right? And I think the social media scroll within reason, because I do like to see what other content creators and people are producing, and there's some stuff on there. And sometimes I come across like a really stupid video that'll make me laugh, or a really cute video that'll just like warm my heart. So I do get some fulfillment there. But sometimes I'm like, it's ridiculous. I'm like, I see something and it's like a crime thing or something. And I'm like, oh, this is awful. I don't want to know what happened, but I click on it anyway. And I'm like, that didn't educate me. That didn't make me feel good. It was just the curiosity that like kicked in, and that's not productive. So it's like, it's very intentional. You have to like be like, really, like, is this going to educate me or entertain me? And if the answer is no, I'm not clicking. Right? Like, I'm not clicking.
Takes you, like, sometimes it just takes you to a different space, so you can just not think about anything else.
Right.
I feel like that's the one reason why I would watch things. And like, I would wait till I was going to sleep at night and just turn it on for the last hour. And now, like, I feel like I'm learning. I can go on to TikTok and learn from somebody. And really, there's some great learning lessons on these platforms. Like, people don't look at it that way. There's so much to learn. I mean, it's silly to think, you can learn how to put on makeup, or you can learn how to cook. Like, you really can, though. And so as a woman, and I don't have a lot of time, it's a funny story. So I learned this new TikTok thing about how to put on makeup. So I go in the bathroom this day, I'm going to this event, and I put it on. I have this new contour thing, and I was just super excited. I was like, wow, that looks really good. So I get to the place I'm going, and the lady who's running it comes to me. She goes, you got this brown thing right here. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, right in the middle of it, my mom had called me to come downstairs, and I forgot to blend it in. So I had this brown stripe on my chin. And I was like, oh my God, I'm mortified. I finally do something outrageously different with myself, and then I forget to blend it. But
well, kudos to the person who noted it to you, right? Like, you could have walked around like that the whole day.
The whole night. But, I do learn, and I'm just saying makeup is because it's interesting. Like, the lady that we had at our event over the weekend, she had a $1.2 billion cosmetic company. Yeah. So I remember watching her, because I have a little bit of rosacea on my cheeks. I remember watching her do that on QVC and thinking, that's so cool. I can't believe she's showing that redness in her face. I don't want anyone to see the redness on my cheeks. So yeah, so there's a lot to learn. I love learning. I could be a professional learner. Again, there are events person, critique them all and tell everybody which ones they should go to. But anyways, I'm here doing real estate, and I'm creating my brand. This is the year of me creating my brand.
Yeah. I kind of going back to what you just said and wrapping up for me, my thought on that, I think like a lot of the stuff, it comes down to prioritization, right? And it's like a project plan, right? When you project plan, you've got these are the tasks that have to happen. You've got them ranked in priority. And then you've got a lot of times we refer to it as the parking lot, right? Mm-hmm. So like, the social media, the I don't say mindless, but the less productive, scroll goes into the parking lot. And if you've got a few minutes and that's going to nurture you in some way, whether it's allowing you to check out or whatever, you pull from that, but you don't let that usurp the priorities. And that's where I think that we're all of us, globally, at least those who have access to technology, are having the challenge is that it ends up taking place. We pull it out and then we don't have the conversation, or we scroll and we forget to answer our emails, but we can certainly do it. And in terms of, learning, I mean, I think you do a brilliant job of taking your desire to learn and teach, because teaching often is a form of learning, because like the way that we share information and it gets bounced back to us and we go like, oh, it's a new way I hadn't heard of saying what I just said. You do that. You do that whether you're talking about real estate or whether you're talking about, an illness that you faced or something difficult that you dealt in your life. So now, again, now my gears are going to be turning. You're probably going to get a call from me or a message from me in a couple of days. Like, I've got it. I've got how you can like turn this into, because I think that like, I could really see you doing that. I could see you going to events and like surveying people and taking notes and having a place where people are like, because
there's so many people doing speaking, right? And everyone's,
like, what does she say? Yeah.
Right. So anyways, I think it would be kind of fun,
and I think also just in general, you could rank like what are your top favorite things? You could do this as a post, right? Your top things you like at an event versus the things.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to take that note right now.
Yeah, like I'm going to be following. And I'm going to be like, all right, should we attend this event? Because even some of the ones where you are not necessarily, you haven't even attended, there are some times where we can see things, and if it's like they're like, oh, they have the agenda and there's like 15 minutes for lunch, you're like, there's no way that 15-minute lunch break is going to work. People are going to be exhausted. People are going to be. So like you start to like develop those things. Have you been a lifetime event attender? Like, has that been something?
No, actually, starting in 2020 is when I really started to go. And like, if they were in Pittsburgh, I would go. And I was afraid to be on a plane alone. So, but after 2020, I was like, I'm flying anywhere. I'm going wherever, as long as Jason didn't care, and he didn't at all. So I love traveling and going to events.
Yeah. The people part of it for me is really what's
amazing,
incredible. And that's so much like I am so in alignment with what you said about the fact that we're all made up of the same parts and we all have, there's so much that we have in common, but then we all have these unique differences. So it's like when you put a bunch of people together who are willing to take in the knowledge share that is there, you could go above and beyond. And sometimes the whole purpose of a conversation, although I would say it does fill us, sometimes our conversation with somebody, it's like we're not necessarily going to have an action or something that we're going to be able to take away from there and immediately turn into something necessarily, immediately productive in our lives, but we might help somebody else to do that. And so like, it's that exchange. It's like in every conversation, there's growth that's occurring.
Agreed.
So yeah, in a conference, an event like that, where you have speakers that are inspiring questions and comments, and then you go off and you have conversations, even the 5 minutes that you're running to the restroom and you bump into somebody, you these little power snippets that you pull with it. What were some of your, I guess, you mentioned the piece about, Jamie Kern-Lima and her being at the event and talking about, right, all of her stuff. What are some of the other, you don't even have to cite the source, like tidbits that you really took away and you've been kind of gelling on for the past couple days? Because I know I do that. I usually have kind of words floating in my head and talking to me.
So for me, the biggest words that I like, the most important words that I like there would be the energy you want to attract. Of all the things I heard, and the emotions and the grief and the happiness and the creative side, that stuck with me, and it was literally within the first half hour of the 3 days that I heard that. So I wrote it down, and when you said to me today, I'm going to ask you what your final thoughts. That is my final thought: is be the energy you want to attract. I can change a room by having bad energy. I can also change it by having positive energy. What should I pick?
Yeah. Right. And you align with the people that are going to see that in you and say, this is a person that I want in my circle. Us as an example, right?
Correct.
We are projecting that, and we like, you get a few minutes into a conversation and you're like, I get this person gets me. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Now, you said your final thought, so maybe we just go into the segue now of, do you want to, give people your contact information?
Sure.
So, I could keep talking for another hour or two.
Yeah, me too, but I'm sure they would be like, click. All right, I had enough.
I don't think so.
So at Dionne Realty 1 PGH is my Instagram handle. DionneMalush.com, DionneMalush.com is my personal site. And I'm in Pittsburgh. So if you just type in Dionne Malush, you can find me everywhere. I've been online for many, many years. I've been trying very hard to build a good social presence. And so that's how you find me. And I'm available anytime if you have any ideas or ever want to talk about marketing, mindset. They're my favorites of all things, are marketing and mindset. So
Yeah, well, and they're also going to be learning a whole bunch from you about what to look for in a conference to attend and how to make the most out of a conference to attend.
For sure.
All
And
those
I always tell everybody, bring a jacket, bring socks, because it's going to be freezing in there. And every time I'm writing, they all come without their stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, listen to you, it wouldn't be cold. So
yep, snacks. I always throw snacks in case like I don't have enough time to eat, or I don't find something that appeals to me. Water, hydrate. Yeah, there's so many different tips. And I, like you, had not really, I mean, I'd attended big events in the past, but not at the cadence that I have been lately. And probably if you told me 5 years ago that I wouldn't have not believed it, because I realize I'm constantly growing and changing, but I would have been like, that's interesting. That wouldn't have been at the forefront. And man, just like you, I just surrounding yourself with learning and love and
people that truly want the best for you, like being around people that want you to win.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Cheering for you by your very existence, right? They're cheering for you. Exactly. So thank you for all your knowledge and your fun. This was great. And I'm going to be thinking about this conference thing. I'm going to be looking for your posts. That's for sure. Okay. And I am just wishing you the best with all the stuff that you're doing, because I know that you are creating change in all that you are. So I think that that's beautiful. And and so for everybody that joined us, whether you joined us live, whether you join us recorded at some time during the day, again, thank you very much for being here. And I appreciate you. And so your final thought, which you already said, was
be the energy you want to attract.
Be the energy you want to attract. So hopefully we have poured out some goodness into your day, and we appreciate all that you whoever you are and from wherever you're watching, what you bring to this world. So take care, everybody.
See you. Bye.